Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Gentle Repose.
I'm dead and reposed.
Oh, you're not. Oh, no, yeah.
I'm on
Yeah,
ice.
yes.
Well, like
Not
I
dead
am dead.
for
I'm
long.
just
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
I think Gentle Repose takes the mostly dead Princess Bride bit and just like that's it, right? You can be dead and then you can be mostly dead. And if they're mostly dead, you can Gentle Repose them, which is pretty cool.
Sam, I'm impressed that you've seen The Princess Bride.
Okay, that one's like an actual big pop culture thing, Bob, not some niche little film like Three Amigos that you claim is big and popular.
Three Amigos is huge.
Sure it is. So this is a second level
Fight Club?
ritual. Fight Club? Okay, that one is my fault. I haven't seen Fight Club, and I respect that that's a big one. So, second level necromancy. I appreciate that you remember all the movies that I haven't seen. Okay, composure. Second level ritual spell. Necromancy. Action to cast. Verbal somatic shell components. A pinch of salt and one copper piece placed on each of the corpse's eyes, which must remain there for the duration, which is a very delicious. Love that kind of flavor. 10-day duration. You touch a corpse or other remains for that duration. The target is protected from decay and cannot become undead. Spell also effectively extends the time limit on raising the target from the dead, since days spent under the influence of the spell don't count. Neat. I have never once seen this spell cast. I do not think I ever will.
Yeah, it feels like it should be a lot more useful than it is, but yeah, I haven't ever seen it cast either. And I had an alternate use for it that I think just got ruined.
Why is
Unless,
that?
well, it depends. Because I was thinking, use this to preserve meat over a long journey. But if your meat doesn't have eyes, you
Oh,
put
okay. So it
coins.
has to be you have to kill game, and then you
Yeah,
preserve it with its eyes still intact, and then you do all of the butcher stuff after the fact. That's
yeah.
so
Or
grim.
just cook it over a spit, and you have a whole pig that you're transporting, a whole cooked pig, and yeah, you put coins in its eyes.
Technically, sure. I see. That's the kind of use that I think Gentle Repose deserves. I think that's the kind of world building stuff where you go like, this exists. Why wouldn't butchers use it, right? Like, why wouldn't these? It's second level. It's accessible. It's a ritual, right? You can have this is a reason for the hunters to bring the cleric along, right? Is to repose the meat post kill so it stays fresher for the trek back to town, right? Sure. You world building implication. Best use case for it that I've heard today, and possibly ever.
I've got one more.
Oh, you got more?
Yeah, one more.
What has it got for me?
Escort missions. All right.
So you failed the escort mission.
Hear me out. Hear me out. You know, what's the worst part of an escort mission?
Is the walking slowly behind you?
It's just them constantly making themselves a target.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, being a huge pain in your ass. So, all right, you're gonna escort the little girl to her father, the prince. Before you leave, you just stab her. Cast this spell, put some coins in her eyes, a little salt, and then she's in the cart. You wrap some cloth around her head to make sure the coins stay in place. And before you get to her dad's house, you revivify her.
Bye.
Yeah.
Sure, that's so wonderfully stupid. I love it. I'm just curious, Bob. Like, would you be willing to go through the excruciating pain of death to skip a car ride? Because that's kind of what you're implying is happening here, right?
I'm just trying to keep her safe. You know, if she's out and about, and
No.
then when the bugbears attack, the first thing she's going to do is run away and say, I told you to stay in the cart. She didn't listen. And now, her head's been eaten and whatever.
That sounds like the exact kind of dumb player idea that I'm so accustomed to and love as a DM. Where you would be the only person at the table that'd be like, I have Gentle Repose. Let's kill the child so we can preserve her so she doesn't do anything stupid while we escort her across the spooky way. Yeah, no, at that point, you're more of a monster than the monster's coming to kill people. This is...
I'm trying to protect her.
Via death. You're trying to
For
protect
her
her
own good.
via death. And if you die, she just is by default dead, right? If whoever has to resurrect her goes under, it's just over for both of you. There's no shot for her. whatever. That's just consideration, just something to think about. I'm not saying that it's not a valid use case.
Listen, little girl, don't tell your dad.
He won't notice the scars. So, this is, we talked about this in the worst second level cleric in the top 5 cleric video, and there were people who were like, "Oh, Critical Role used it to great effect." I call BS. I don't think that was great effect. I think that was being unprepared for actual outcomes that could matter. If Revivify is ever an option, you've no reason to ever prepare this. If Revivify isn't an option, you're probably like starting out the game. I don't know if a cleric wants to spend one of their prepared spells on something that only preserves things in the worst case scenario whenever Healing Word is just right there. Like, Healing Word solves this problem easily. I don't ever expect to want to have prepared a Gentle Repose so that you could even ritual cast it. It just doesn't seem likely to me. As a wizard, jam it in your book for free? Okay. I could see that being the only instance where it, like, is something you consider, specifically because wizards don't get other resurrection magic readily. So, like, if you're the wizard in a group with no healers, you can just have this in your spellbook, never ever repair it. It only costs you one of your 2 spells added to the spellbook cost, which is, again, wizards are great with this because they just have a billion ritual spells that they just jam in there. Then you have the effect of, well, if someone dies, we can go find a cleric to resurrect them, but it's going to take at least a 5th level spell slot because I need to spend at least a minute casting this, so Revivify's off the table, right? Or 10 minutes casting this, so Revivify's off the table, right. But as long as you can find a 5th level or higher spellcaster, fine. Gentle Repose does get to do its thing in exactly that instance. I've still never seen that happen. I don't ever think I will, because I don't think wizards want to put this in their spellbook over every other ritual spell that exists.
Well, I mean, they don't have to put it over every other spell. You can put multiple spells in there.
Yeah, but like you have to pick between them. They add them to the book, right? They have a spellbook that gets 8 to start with, and then 2 per level. So you have to pick this over something else, and the other thing could be like Identify or Detect Magic or Speak with Animals. I prefer all of those to this.
Yeah, it's a hard sell.
I think where it starts getting complicated is like, ooh, do I take this over Animal Messenger? That's where I think we're in the territory of, is Gentle Repose good?
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've given you my 2 best ideas on how to use it, and
I did thoroughly enjoy them. I'd be willing to hear a third.
Neither of them are how it's intended to be used.
One of them definitely fits the, we're building a simulation of a little fantasy world that has cities and stone structures, and it fits into that aesthetic very well. So maybe it's part of that version of D&D.
Speaking of that, I feel bad that I was so down on Fabricate. That should be right in my wheelhouse.
It's a spell that does exactly nothing in most D&D, but in that D&D is exceptional.
But we're not talking about Fabricate. We are struggling to talk more about Gentle Repose.
It's really hard because the necromancy effect very rarely will matter. Like,
yeah, there was that. We didn't even talk about that.
That's, it's just.
But again, if your if your friend's dead, he's got bigger problems than being turned into undead.
And like, so conceivably what you could do is, if you very much care, like if you're worried about specifically a big necromantic event occurring, and you're like, well, let's make sure our crypt and our remains are all safe, right? Let's make sure the town cemetery is okay. You dig everyone up first, and then you Gentle Repose them all, and then you put them back in the ground, because you have to touch the corpse or remains for Gentle Repose to work on them, which means you're already kind of desecrating ground. And at that point, could just light them on fire, right? Like, you could just dispose of the bodies in another responsible way that doesn't cost you a spell known. And that's also, in the niche situation you're defending against bulk necromancy, which I have never seen come up. I don't expect many tables ever consider.
Even then, I mean, how many times can you? I mean, you got to cast this once. It's not like a area of effect, you got to cast this once on a corpse.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes per corpse.
A ritual that's 10 minutes. How much of the cemetery are you really realistically protecting?
It's 6 an hour. 20. I mean, it's like probably 24 a day, right? So if you've got a week, most of it depends on how old it is.
By the, if they don't show up within 3 days, then the first ones start decaying again.
That's a really great point. Because it does only last 10 days. Yeah, I don't see it. I think maybe again, as a world building thing, you say the priests and clerics in this world routinely, like, there are above ground preserved bodies that are on display as the dead that are well put out, right? Like it's like a wake where every single body is preserved like this, and the priests just have the daily routine of gentle repose in the bodies, right? Where they go around and they go, okay, these are the 10 that, or these are the 8 that we're doing today. These are the 15 or whatever we're doing today, and they have like cycles for them all, and they have schedules, and there's a bunch of different clerics doing it, and it's very logistical and has nothing at all to do with adventuring, but it's very much a world building implication thing.
I'm bored just listening to this. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, if there was a way to cast it on a living person, like you're going against some powerful undead that upon death turns you into undead instantly, then yeah, but
that's still niche. That's still against one type of specific undead that doesn't exist.
Ew. All I'm saying is but that's not even an option because it has to be on a corpse, and even like you can't have like tape coins to his eyelids. Oh no, I got nothing.
I never want to be the person preparing the spell. There's many more spells to prepare that are more responsible than this. I think the one use case is you're a wizard and you jammed it in your book because you had an extra ritual spell to learn, or you picked up a scroll and learned it for free. That is the case that I think Gentle Repose would then conceivably get used as. In that one case, fine. It's fine. I can understand it. It's expensive still, but sometimes you don't want a character to die, and in a group without a cleric, that is a way for a character to not die. So fine, it gets a 2. But everywhere else, it's a 1.
Yeah, I'm not even giving it a 2 for that. I'm giving it a 2 for my initial uses that I brought up.
The cured meat and murdering the child uses.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Man, like, you ever played GoldenEye?
Once, I think. On the N64? Yeah.
Yeah. The escort missions, oh my God. Like, I wish I could have stabbed those people and brought them to life later.
Yeah, that, like, every single World of Warcraft quest where one person's following you around, you're like, my God, why didn't they set your speed to be the run speed? Why did they make it the walk speed? Why would they do this? This is awful. All
right, so yeah, 2 across the board. Oh, that was Gentle Repose. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. I guess we've talked about this one before. You had some comments. Lay it on us. Let us know what you think, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.